Welcome to Whips in the Dungeon. I'm Dex, and I've been throwing whips for over 20 years. When I got involved in whips 20 years ago, there were no paracord whips. Paracord wasn't being used at that point to make whips. Paracord's a more modern material. So the whips I'm going to show you today are all kangaroo, and they've been around a while. And I'm going to call this video Rest in Peace because whip makers that are really good plait, they get a lot of mileage on their hands. Typically they all end up with carpal tunnel, may or may not have surgery. Some of them burn out, some of them find a different job and just don't plait any longer. And then some of them actually unfortunately pass away through age or an illness. So this is my Rest in Peace video. The first whip I want to show is a 12 plait Joe Strain whip. And Joe is still alive, he's just not actively plaiting anymore. There was a period of time when if you saw a whip in a movie or a video, more than likely it was a Joe Strain whip. Joe was famous for his bull whips, but I actually prefer his snake whips better than his bull whips. That's just a personal preference. And I have some other friends in the lifestyle that do like Joe Strain snake whips. The other whip maker I want to feature today was Benton Cassaday, who was a Texas plaiter who plaited basically working whips, ranch, cattle whips. He did do some fancy plaiting from time to time. One of Benton's trademarks was he would put a conch in the end of his whip that said C. So if you find a whip that has a conch with a C marked in it, more than likely it's a Benton Cassaday. This particular whip is a 24 plait that I bought at the Boston Flea many years ago. And I don't know if you can see the handle plaiting. It's kind of done in a turquoise, and the whip itself it's kind of a dark burgundy. It's a really nice whip. It's a little bit long for dungeon play. You could do wraps with it. If I'm in an outdoor event, I can certainly easily throw it outdoors, and I've thrown it in full contact before. But Benton passed away. He plaited well into his 70s, and if you find a Benton Cassaday whip, it is now a collector's item because Benton has gone to the whip maker's heaven. And the other whip maker that we lost this past year was Victor Tella. Victor Tella was scene friendly, lifestyle friendly, and of course he plaited whips for vanilla and for kinky purposes. His website may even still be up there. It was very informative. He had a number of good articles and was well known in the BDSM lifestyle. This is a little 3-foot snake whip made by Victor Tella. I also have an 8 plait signal whip made by Tella. His economy whip was a nice little whip because it only cost about $99 and it got you into single tails easily. This 16 plait whip is saddle tan and brandy, kind of a variegated herringbone, very nice. One of the characteristics of his whips though, as you got toward the fall hitch, it would get a little bumpy, a little bit of a rocky road, but it didn't affect the accuracy of the whip. And many people love Victor Tello whips. So again, Tella's whip is now collectible because he went to Plaiter's heaven. Mike Murphy, an Australian plaiter, and honestly I don't know if Mike's still alive or not, but he quit plaiting I believe around 2006 or 2007. So when a plaiter quits plaiting and doesn't pick up the roux anymore to braid a new whip, they're essentially ripped for all purposes. Because for a whip thrower and an avid whip collector, they're no longer providing product. So Mike Murphy's whips, characteristic of Murphy, he wouldn't have any marking, no numbering on the pommel, but typically he liked a handle plaiting pattern that was diamond with a section of kind of zigzag in the middle and then finished with diamond. If you see that handle plait pattern and you see a very smoothly rolled whip and you can't feel any transitions, and then you find a keeper knot or a fall hitch that's extremely tightly plaited, you might be holding a Mike Murphy. Mike's whips are cherished, and if you get an opportunity to buy a Mike Murphy and you have the money, don't walk away from it. Another plaiter that unfortunately passed away this year was Skip Soucie, and Skip made a nice whip, a little bit heavy of a shot load for, at least for me and my arm, for extended dungeon play. But what I really liked about Skip's whips is he made a model of whip that was what I call a woody, because it had an exotic wooden handle and he had several different types of woods that he worked with. I am the proud owner of 2 of Skip's woodies. This one's a 4-foot bullwhip, and I have a 3-foot mini bullwhip that again has a wooden handle. And for a period of time, he put a ferrule on the handle and you could have your name engraved. And I don't know if you can see, the Dex is engraved in this handle, but his wooden handle bullwhip, I didn't find another whip maker that made as quality a wooden handle bullwhip as Skip. And of course, Skip had models that he had fancy plaiting on the handle as well. If you get an opportunity to buy a Skip Soucie bullwhip, again, don't pass that up. So it's very unfortunate this year. We lost Victor Tella, we lost Skip Soucie. There are fewer and fewer quality plaiters out there. If you're interested in buying a whip and you don't know where to turn to, by all means, don't hesitate to write me on Fat Life or leave a comment on YouTube under this video, and I'll try to steer you towards a quality whip plaiter that will end up putting a single tail in your hands. Now, as always, thank you so much for supporting and watching Whips in the Dungeon.